Wishing you all abundant health and immense happiness, Gulo Klopo Official proudly presents to you the captivating Legends of the Archipelago stories, a truly remarkable collection.
The Legend of Aji Saka, the dark story behind Hanacaraka. In the age when the land of Java drowned in darkness, when men were hunted as food by their own king, an outsider arrived from beyond the sea, bringing a piece of cloth, a secret, and a promise of civilization. But every light is born from shadow, and every civilization is built upon blood. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be upon you. Dear listeners and seekers of wisdom, may health, serenity, and blessings fill your day. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, so that the ancient tales of our ancestors may continue to live and inspire generations to come. This story comes from ancient Java, from the time when mystery cloaked the earth and men trembled beneath the reign of a cruel king, Prabu Dewata Cengkar. And from this darkness rose the legend of Aji Saka, the bringer of light. The southern sea roared that night. Waves shattered against black rocks as though the earth itself rejected what was coming. Through the thick fog, a wooden vessel cut through the storm, illuminated by flashes of lightning splitting the heavens. On its bow stood a calm yet commanding man, Aji Saka, a noble from the land of Bharata, India. His white turban glimmered faintly in the storm, eyes steady, piercing the void ahead. Behind him knelt his two loyal guards, Dora and Sembada. They wore dark brown warrior garb, soaked by the storm, with black headcloths tied tightly around their brows. In their hearts burned a single vow, to protect their master and the light he carried, even unto death. When the ship finally touched the black sands of Java's shore, morning fog veiled the dense forest beyond. Crows circled overhead, a dark omen. Aji Saka stepped onto the land and drove his staff into the ground. "This," he whispered, "is the land that must be reborn in light." Before they could go further, Aji Saka turned to his guards. "Sembada, remain on the island of Majadi. Guard this sacred Chris. None shall touch it except me, even if the sky itself should fall." Sembada received the blade with both hands, bowing deeply. "By my life, my lord." Meanwhile, Dora stood beside Aji Saka, staring at the misty forest ahead. "My lord," he asked quietly, "is it true that men here devour their own kind?" Aji Saka nodded slowly. "Not because they hunger for flesh, but because they have lost the light within them. It is time that light returns." They stepped into the forest, carrying the weight of destiny, a promise that would alter the history of an entire land. Beyond the fog waited the mountain fortress of Prabu Dewata Cengkar, the mad ruler of Medon Kamulan, whose hunger for human flesh had turned the realm into a nightmare. A thick fog shrouded the forest as Aji Saka and Dora ventured deeper inland. The soil beneath their feet was damp and moss-covered, carrying a faint metallic scent of blood in the air. Ravens screeched from the trees, as if warning that this place no longer belonged to men. In the distance, the echo of gongs and faint human screams pierced the silence. They reached a wide valley where a gray stone palace loomed high. Its walls were carved with faces frozen in eternal agony. From within came a booming laugh, deep, deranged, and cruel. This was the fortress of King Dewata Cengkar, the ruler of Medon Kamulan, feared across all of Java. Inside the throne hall, Dewata Cengkar sat upon a seat made of human bones. His body was massive, his skin pale bluish, and his eyes glowed red like embers. Before him, trembling servants knelt, offering trays of raw flesh. The king devoured without mercy, blood dripping from his tangled beard. "The people exist to feed their king," he roared, "for without fear there is no power." From the shadows, Aji Saka watched in silence, eyes cold yet resolute. "So this is the face of power without a soul," he whispered. Dora's hand trembled upon his sword hilt, but Aji Saka stopped him. "Not yet. We shall conquer him not with blood, but with wit." The next day, Aji Saka appeared before the king. The hall fell silent as the foreigner entered, his white robe gleaming against the blood-stained walls. "Who are you, stranger, daring to meet my gaze?" growled Dewata Cengkar. Aji Saka bowed respectfully. I come to make an offer, O King of Medon Camulan. The king narrowed his eyes. What offer could possibly buy your life? Aji Saka smiled faintly. Land no larger than my turban cloth. Dewata Cengkar burst into thunderous laughter that shook the hall. Only that? Very well. Take it, though I have never kept promises to fools. Aji Saka unwrapped his turban. The white cloth unfurled to the ground and, as if alive, began to stretch outward in all directions. The more he pulled, the farther it spread, across the floor, over the courtyard, even climbing the palace walls. Dewata Cengkar's eyes widened. What sorcery is this? With a calm yet piercing voice, Aji Saka declared, You granted land as wide as this cloth, and so it shall mark the bounds of your reign and of your life. The cloth coiled around Dewata Cengkar, tightening like a giant white serpent. The king screamed, thrashing in fury, but the turban only constricted harder. In his final wrath, Dewata Cengkar was hurled from the cliffs into the sea. Waves swallowed his body, and from that curse was born the white crocodile, his immortal form. After the fall of King Dewata Cengkar, the land of Medon Camulan seemed to awaken from a long nightmare. The fires that once devoured villages had died down, and the cries of sorrow were replaced by whispers of hope. The people who had hidden in the forests began to emerge one by one, their faces filled with disbelief as they saw the grand palace no longer guarded by terror. At the main gate, Aji Saka stood tall, his white robe fluttering in the evening breeze. The elders of the villages came forward, bringing offerings of flowers and sacred water, bowing deeply before Aji Saka. "O noble one from across the sea," said an old man with trembling voice. "You have freed us from the man-eating king. Please be our ruler, so that this land may live in dignity once again." Aji Saka looked at them with humility. "I did not come here to rule," he said softly. "I came to restore the honor of humankind." But the people's plea was overwhelming. They shouted in unison, begging for his coronation. Dora, who stood beside Aji Saka, looked at his master with pride and concern. "My lord," he said, "this land needs a firm hand and a just heart. Perhaps this is the destiny the heavens have chosen for you." Aji Saka was silent for a moment, gazing at the golden sky. "If it is their will, and the will of the divine, then I shall accept it." The day of coronation arrived. The sound of gongs and gamelan echoed through the land of Medon Camulan. People gathered from every corner, wearing their finest garments, bringing fruits, rice, and garlands of jasmine. At the top of the stone staircase, Aji Saka walked slowly toward the throne. Each step he took seemed to erase the scars of the past. When the golden crown studded with jewels was placed upon his head, cheers erupted through the crowd. Birds soared into the clear sky, gongs resounded together, and tears of joy streamed down the cheeks of elders who had lost everything. Bathed in sunlight, Aji Saka looked upon his people and smiled. "From this day forth," he proclaimed, "Medon Camulan shall no longer be a land of fear, but a land of wisdom and justice." From that day on, Aji Saka built a new order. He established schools where children learned to write and count. He enforced laws fairly, even against nobles who oppressed the weak. The once dark kingdom now shone as a center of knowledge and culture throughout the land of Java. Yet behind this era of prosperity lay one secret: the sacred kriss he had entrusted to Sembada on the island of Majadi. One night, beneath the moonlight, Aji Saka gazed upon the silver-lit sea. "It is time for the kriss to return," he whispered. Dora bowed deeply. "I shall retrieve it, my lord." Dora set off the next day. She prepared a small boat with only the bare necessities: a jug of water, a few pieces of dry bread, and a white cloth given to her by the king. The waves lapped gently as she pushed her boat out to sea. From a distance, she still had time to gaze at the Medon Camulan palace, slowly fading into the morning mist. "By your majesty's command," she whispered, "I will carry it out, even if it costs me my life." The days at sea felt long and silent. The waves rolled like whispers from the gods, unwilling to be revealed. Dora sailed through storms and night, armed only with the stars for guidance. Sometimes she spoke to herself, as if praying to the heavens. May you be protected by Sanghyang, Sembada. I have come not to separate, but to unite our trusts. Finally, Majadi Island appeared in the distance. A quiet, green island surrounded by steep cliffs. Sembada had lived there for a long time, guarding his heirloom carries with devotion. He built a bamboo hut and prayed every night to keep the carries sacred from the wrong hands. When Dora arrived, Sembada's face lit up, unexpected to see his old friend return after so long. Dora! Sembada exclaimed happily. It's been a long time since I've seen your face. How is Medong Kamulin? Prosperous and peaceful, Dora replied. And I come bearing your majesty's command. Aji Saka requests that you return the heirloom carries. Sembada fell silent for a moment. The smile on his face vanished, replaced by a doubtful look in his eyes. You said Aji Saka himself requested it. Yes, Dora replied firmly. He sent me to bring it home. Sembada looked at the ground, then out to sea. But his decree was clear. I must not hand the carries over to anyone but himself. Not a messenger, not a friend, not even his flesh and blood. Dora stared at him sharply. I come on behalf of the king. Do you doubt me? Sembada stared back, his eyes trembling with dilemma. I don't doubt you, Dora, but I'm more afraid of breaking my oath to him. The atmosphere fell silent. Only the sound of the waves and the rustling leaves in the breeze could be heard. In both of their hearts, respect gave way to a conflict between truth and loyalty. Dora stepped forward, her voice trembling with emotion. Then don't blame me if I have to take it by force. Sembada looked his friend straight in the eye. Then I won't give it up even if it means dying. The fight was inevitable. Swords clashed, lightning glinted off the metal blades, and the sound of clashing echoed through the trees. They fought not out of hatred, but out of shared love and loyalty, just on different paths. Heavy breathing, shaky steps, blood dripping onto the sacred ground. The fight lasted until their strength was exhausted. In one final move, they both stabbed each other. Their bodies collapsed almost simultaneously. The ground on Majadi Island was soaked with the blood of two loyal guards. Before his last breath, Sembada grasped Dora's hand. Tell Aji Saka, we are loyal until the end. Dawn broke in the eastern sky. The heavens over Medong Kamulin glowed crimson, like the blood of two loyal souls. Aji Saka stood at the palace terrace, gazing at the shimmering sea. His heart felt hollow, as though a piece of his soul had drowned with Dora and Sembada. He had heard whispers of their fate through the wind and waves. His two guards never returned. Yet deep down, Aji Saka knew their deaths were not in vain. He walked toward the stone pavilion behind the palace, where the sages often meditated. There, he sat cross-legged beneath the brightening sky. His hands trembled, not from the cold, but from crushing regret. Two loyal souls perished because of my words, he whispered. Aji Saka took a flat stone and with the tip of a small kris, began to carve letters upon its surface. He wanted to release his grief through something eternal. Letter by letter, meaning by meaning. The first line he etched slowly, Hanacaraka. There were messengers. He remembered Dora and Sembada, embodiments of true loyalty. They carried out his commands perfectly, even if it cost their lives. The second line, Doda so Gulo. They fought each other. An admission that even loyalty can turn to tragedy when truth and duty collide. The third, Hadho Joyonyo. They were equally strong. For neither had won. Both had fought with equal resolve in honor of their king. The final line, Mogo Bathongo. Both became corpses. Thus ended the tale of two guards who lived and died in the name of faithfulness. Each stroke upon the stone became a symbol of life itself. He stared long at his creation, as if speaking to the spirits of Dora and Sembada. You did not die in vain. You are the beginning of civilization. Aji Saka then ordered his disciples to copy the writing and teach it to the people, so that all would understand the true meaning of loyalty and responsibility. Days turned into weeks, and the script he created spread across the lands of Java, from coasts to mountains. The people learned to read and write, to understand wisdom through every letter. And each time they inscribed Hanacaraka, the names Dora and Sembada seemed to breathe again, their spirits living within each syllable, forming the soul of language and civilization. That night, Aji Saka once again gazed at the stars. A faint smile crossed his lips, his eyes glistening. Dora, Sembada, you have become the light of the world. The sea breeze brushed softly against him, as though answering his call. In the sky, two stars shone side by side, one bright, the other dimmer, yet together they formed an everlasting glow. Thus was born the Javanese script, not merely as letters, but as the living legacy of two loyal souls, the foundation of knowledge and culture across the archipelago. A language born from love, loyalty, and remorse, teaching that true wisdom is always carved from the deepest wounds. Years passed, and the name Aji Saka echoed across the archipelago. From Medong Kamulan, his teachings spread to distant lands, lessons of etiquette, script, and the wisdom of life. Wherever his name was spoken, it was uttered with reverence, the bringer of civilization. Under his rule, Java, once wild and shrouded in darkness, transformed into a land of prosperity, order, and enlightenment. Aji Saka became known not only as a king, but as a great teacher. He taught his people how to cultivate the land, build strong homes, and write the sacred script so knowledge could endure through generations. Every word written in the Hanacaraka letters became a bridge between humankind and wisdom. In village halls, children sat cross-legged listening to their teachers reading the sacred text, while in the distance, the soft rhythm of gongs and gamelans signaled the dawn of a new era. Yet beneath the peace, Aji Saka often sat alone in deep reflection within his palace chambers. Though he had spread knowledge and prosperity, his heart remained restless. Each night, the shadows of Dora and Sembada returned in his dreams, not to haunt him, but to remind him. He knew that all his greatness was born from a wound that would never fade. Their loyalty is the fire that kindled the light of knowledge, he whispered. One night, he meditated on a hill overlooking the southern sea. The wind carried the scent of salt and memory. With closed eyes, he prayed to the gods that the script he had created would become an eternal legacy for the generations to come. Let this knowledge be the light of mankind, not merely letters, but a way of life, he murmured. And within the whisper of the wind, it was as if the earth itself answered. So it shall be. From that moment, the people of Medong Kamulan began celebrating the day of the script's creation as a sacred day of knowledge. Each year, they would rewrite Hanacaraka on stones, wood, or palm leaves while burning incense and offering prayers to two unforgettable names, Dora and Sembada. They believed that as long as the script lived, the spirit of loyalty would forever flow through the veins of the Javanese people. From afar, Aji Saka watched them and smiled gently. He knew that his true legacy was not merely the script, but the timeless values within it. Loyalty, honesty, and responsibility, the true pillars of civilization. As long as people continue to read and write, their names shall never fade, he whispered softly. The night sky glowed calm and clear, where two stars still shone side by side, symbols of devotion and eternal love. And so, from this tale, Java came to know letters, civilization, and the true meaning of promise and sacrifice. The legend of Aji Saka became a timeless lesson, that from error may be born wisdom, and from loyalty may arise eternity. Over time, the story of Aji Saka has become more than just a legend, but has become part of Javanese identity. In every ancient school, teachers taught the Hanacaraka alphabet as a foundation of knowledge, not only for reading and writing, but also for understanding the noble values they contain. Each letter is considered to have a life meaning, about loyalty, sacrifice, and wisdom. The first letter, Ho no ko ro ko, is always taught with the story of Dora and Sembada, two servants who died for their loyalty. Parents tell this story every night by the campfire, so their children will grow up with the values of honesty and responsibility. Their voices blend with the gurgling river and the rustling wind, as if nature itself is preserving the Aji's legacy. In subsequent kingdoms, kings embraced Aji Saka as a symbol of wisdom and justice. Statues and reliefs of him adorn temple walls, carved with a beautifully circular Hanacaraka script, like a sacred mantra. Anyone who reads this writing, the priests of the time said, will remember that true knowledge is born from a pure heart. However, as time passed, some people began to forget the meaning behind the letters. Aji Saka became a symbol waiting to be revived, not with weapons, but with awareness and a love of knowledge. In every generation, young souls are born searching for their identity, seeking to re-understand where their civilization began. Those who write these scripts today, in books on stone, even on screen, are essentially continuing the same prayer, a prayer that knowledge will never be extinguished. Hanacaraka is not just a text, but a cultural breath that unites the past and the future. And amidst the whispers of the night breeze, it's as if a gentle voice from the past can still be heard, the voice of Sangaji himself. Guard this legacy, for in every letter there is a soul. As long as you write with your heart, I will never truly be gone. Such is the story of Aji Saka, the bearer of civilization, creator of script, and guardian of life's values. This legend is not merely a tale from the past, but a reminder that knowledge, loyalty, and truth will always be an undying light in the hearts of Javanese people. Thank you for watching the epic journey of the legend of Aji Saka until the end. May this story remind us all of the eternal values of loyalty, sacrifice, and wisdom inherited from the land of Java. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so more people can discover the meaningful legends and folklore of the Indonesian archipelago. May you always be blessed with health, happiness, and prosperity in every step of your life. See you again in the next legendary tale. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.